You yawned this morning before you even got out of bed. You probably yawned again an hour ago reading this. You didn't choose to do it. Something older than your conscious mind made the decision for you. The real answer to why you yawn is far stranger than tiredness.
Most people think a yawn means the body needs oxygen. That story has been repeated for decades. It feels obvious. It is also wrong.
Researchers have tested it directly. In a study led by psychologist Robert Provine at the University of Maryland, participants breathed in pure oxygen or extra carbon dioxide before being given the chance to yawn. If the oxygen theory were correct, more oxygen should have reduced yawning and more carbon dioxide should have triggered it. Neither happened. Yawn rates stayed almost exactly the same. The lungs, it turned out, had very little to do with it. So what is actually happening when your jaw stretches open and your eyes water? The leading explanation now points to your brain, not your blood. Your brain runs slightly hot, like a laptop under heavy use. A yawn pulls in a rush of cool air and stretches the muscles around your skull and neck, increasing blood flow. That blood flow acts like a built-in cooling fan. Andrew Gallup, a psychologist who has spent much of his career studying yawning, found that people yawn more often when ambient temperatures sit in a specific middling range and less when it's very hot or very cold outside. In one of his studies, participants in winter months yawned far less than participants tested in warmer conditions, right up until the heat became extreme, at which point yawning dropped off again. That pattern doesn't fit a simple oxygen story. It fits a thermostat. Here's where it gets stranger. Yawning is contagious. You know this already. You've felt it happen reading the word yawn too many times in a row, or watching someone else's mouth stretch open across a room. But why would a temperature-regulating reflex spread from person to person like a cold? The answer reaches back long before language, long before fire, long before anything you'd recognize as human culture. Yawning shows up across an enormous range of species. Dogs yawn, wolves yawn, chimpanzees yawn, and so do many other primates. Some birds yawn. Even certain reptiles do something close to it. That breadth suggests the behavior is ancient, wired in, long before primates split off from other branches of the evolutionary tree. And in social species, especially primates, yawning didn't stay private. It started spreading. Primatologist Franz de Waal and his colleagues studied chimpanzees watching videos of other chimps yawning, and the chimps yawned back at rates far higher than chance. The contagion wasn't limited to seeing a yawn either. Just hearing one, or in some experiments even reading about one, could trigger it in humans. That's an odd thing for a cooling mechanism to do on its own. A cooling mechanism doesn't need to be contagious to do its job. So contagious yawning likely isn't really about temperature anymore. It's about something else, layered on top. Think about what a group of early humans actually needed, tens of thousands of years ago, sleeping together in a small band on open ground with predators nearby. Survival didn't depend only on individual alertness. It depended on the group staying synchronized. If one person's brain signaled that it was time to cool down and wind toward rest, the whole group benefited from following that same rhythm. A scattered band, half asleep and half alert, was vulnerable. A synchronized band, awake together or resting together, was not. This is where contagious yawning starts to look less like a glitch and more like glue. Researchers studying social bonding have found that yawn contagion is strongest between people who are emotionally close. Family members catch each other's yawns more than strangers do. Friends catch them more than acquaintances do. A study using fMRI scanning, led by neuroscientist Ilana Gordon, found that people with higher measures of empathy were more susceptible to contagious yawning, and that the brain regions activated during a contagious yawn overlapped with regions tied to social awareness and theory of mind. In other words, your yawn might be quietly broadcasting a question to the people around you. Are you with me? Are we in sync? This is also why strangers don't always catch your yawn the way close friends do. Studies on children have shown that very young kids, especially those who are still developing strong social bonds and theory of mind skills, are less likely to catch yawns at all. and children with certain social processing differences show reduced contagion compared to their peers. The pattern lines up. Yawning contagion appears to track with social connection, not with how tired the room is. So a yawn is doing at least two jobs at once. It is cooling an overheated brain when your alertness starts to dip. And in a social creature, it is also a quiet, involuntary signal of group state, passed wordlessly from one nervous system to another. Long before anyone said, "I'm getting sleepy," out loud, bodies were already saying it for them. There's a reason this still feels uncomfortable today. You've probably yawned in a meeting and felt embarrassed, worried it looked like boredom or disrespect. But your ancestors weren't performing politeness when they yawned near each other around a fire. They were running an old, useful signal that helped a group stay aligned without a single word being spoken. The discomfort is modern. The mechanism underneath it is not. Next time you feel that stretch building in your jaw, notice what's around you. Notice who yawns back. It isn't your lungs asking for air. It's a furnace in your skull asking to cool down, and a very old social signal asking the people nearest to you a question you never learned to put into words.
You yawned this morning before you even got out of bed. Now you know it wasn't really about being tired at all. It was your brain running a cooling cycle it inherited from ancestors who needed to stay in sync to survive the night, and a small, ancient question quietly asking the people around you whether you're still on the same rhythm.